when you set your targets, you get your targets. It's okay if they slide over to another year if you learned what you should have done the year before. So now you're talking about, okay, this is what happened last year. Here's what I recognize. Here's what we want to do next year. Here's what I need.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
Hey, welcome to our new 10X studio here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're excited to be on. This is actually our podcast room. We actually have a full-blown studio that will be built out over the next 3 to 4 months.
Can you guys hear us?
Can we get a thumbs up if you can hear us? A thumbs up, everybody.
Oh, look at all those thumbs.
Look at all those
some good-looking thumbs.
Awesome. You know, we're so excited. Are we going to do an intro or are we going to go straight into it?
Let's just go straight.
We can go straight into it.
For those of you who don't know who the man is that's speaking right now, this is the video.
Put your first, if this is your first time to 10X Owners Live, put a 1. Just put a 1.
Or new.
Or new or whatever. There you go. Look at all those. This is awesome.
Welcome, you guys. Oh my gosh, look at how many of them there are.
This is so cool.
We are kind of a big family here at 10X Owners Live. We literally, quite literally, are family. This is Brandon Dawson. He is the CEO and co-founder of Cardone Ventures. He sold his last business for $150 million at a multiple of 77 times EBITDA. If you don't know what EBITDA is, there's a very high multiple. Very high.
EBITDA is what most business owners would consider their net profit.
Yes. And, we're not here to confuse you. We're here to help you. My name is Natalie Dawson. I'm the Executive Vice President of Operations at this fine company called Cardone Ventures. And this is the amazing Heather Block, who is the Vice President of Learning and Development and all things events and content creation here at Cardone Ventures. And we are here to help you and to this particular 10X Owners Live talk about 2021, but more importantly, what's happening in 2022, because 2021 is already in the past.
So what we were talking about internally as we're moving into our new facilities, we just had our grand opening. Grant was here this weekend.
We like to call it the Grant.
The grand opening.
In Scottsdale, Arizona. We have 25,000 amazing square feet here. We already have 55 employees. It's our intention to have 155 by this time next year. And I always want people to take an assessment of where they were 12 months ago in the exact moment.
Okay.
Because 12 months ago in this moment, we had just finished our first year in being in business. And we had just completed $14.5 million in revenue in our first year. And we set our goals to do $35 million in 2021. We set those goals in October and November for what our 2021 goals are. And if you go back and you watch our middle of December Owners Live, this is the thing I love about Owners Live. Come March, it'll be 2 years. Other than missing, I think, 2 days a year, we've put out 100 shows by March. So you can follow every single week what we talked about. So if you're new here, a year ago on this show, we talked about setting our goals because we believe in full transparency, setting our goals to do $35 million in revenue in 2021. And I'm pleased to announce that we have done almost $39 million in revenue in 2021. So we beat our goals. Now, the reason that's important is because many of you, in order to succeed, you need to follow the leader. Model, mimic, and mastering what other people do is the fastest way to success. Studying what they say, how they take action, what the result is, and then modeling that for yourself is the fastest way to succeed. And I'm just really, really proud of the team that we've built, because equally this time last year, I believe we had 35 employees. We had 35 employees this time last year. We're at 86 employees today. So now we're going to state our intentions for next year. The targets for next year with all our companies we started is $75 million. And if you think about it, how many employees would that mean we'd have?
We're targeting about 160.
160 employees. So a double from this year. So you guys write it in your notes, keep us accountable, because the best pressure is your accountability with people you trust, people you like, and people you can do business with.
So are we going to hold them accountable for what their targets are?
So now accountability goes
See,
both
it goes both ways. That's what we're here for. This community, especially, this is why we love this 10X group, because you guys want the accountability. You wouldn't show up on a Tuesday night, the week of one of the biggest holidays that's celebrated in the globe. Even if you don't celebrate the holiday, it doesn't matter. It's still the holiday season. You wouldn't show up on a Tuesday night amidst all of the chaos that I'm sure is ensuing, whether it's in your business, your personal life, whatever. The holidays create that. You wouldn't be showing up if you weren't committed and wanting the accountability. So one of the questions we have for you is, what is that target for you next year? If you are willing, you should put it in the chat.
Put in the chat what your targets, your targets are for 20. Do this before you start putting comments. Put in what you're going to do this year and put in your target for next year. Put in what you're going to do this year and put in your target for next year. You got to put them both in. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Dr.
Let's
G.
go, Dr. G.
Yeah.
2 to 10.
Troy,
3 to
love
6.
it.
There you go. 3 to 6.
2.5 to 5.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
fast. So fast. 3.5 to 7.
Awesome.
I love somebody who knows that it's 2.35
Yeah.
to 5.5.
And Jared Ritter said 255 to 5.8.
600K next year, 1 million. 240K to 1 million.
These are awesome numbers.
These are amazing numbers. 22 million. Current year closed 13 million. Okay, great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Totally. 0 to 500. Patrick, you've got this.
Rudolph.
Where's Rudolph?
He's
Right
up
there.
90
90 to
Rudolph went from
160.
30. Hey, so this is what I
Like
love.
employees.
This is what I love more than our own results, because our results are just a lead indicator of your results. See, if you weren't successful, we wouldn't be successful. But when I see people like Rudolph because when Rudolph joined us, he was doing 35 million and he was stagnated. He did 90 million. He set a target for next year for 160 million. We have so many business owners. You were hearing for Pat earlier. He was at 1.1 million stuck for years. And what was it, 3.8 or something million? And for the first time, he's got over $500,000 of cash sitting in the bank.
So cool.
This, changing lives, everything. We just had the Silvas here.
Mm-hmm.
The Silvas, when they started working with us 2 years ago, they were crying because they were overwhelmed. They may be on here, but they were doing like $2 million and they were trying to figure out how to go to 4 or 5 with how stretched they were. 12 months later, they did 8 million. And this year they're going to do 22.
And she has a 3-month-old.
And she has a 3-month-old.
No
Look,
big deal.
look, at the end of the day, all these numbers, every one of you can grow your business and crush it next year. And the thing I'm going to tell you is when it starts coming, it comes so fast. When you get things lined up and you know what you're doing and you get your people aligned. I heard Pat talking about getting the people aligned with the business and winning when the business wins, and him winning when the people win. It's like a great feeling to get everyone moving in the right direction. I was listening to Joel. He was talking about that as well. We have so many remarkable examples that we just, we want to celebrate you. And if you're new to this and you're asking like, how do I get involved? How do I blow this thing up? We're just inviting you to be part of this community. It's why do we do this show every single week? Our commitment is to bring these stories to you, to give you inspiration, to get you to think a little different, to get activity that will drive you to the next level of success. And that's why we do this show. And we are so excited to be in our studio to where we can start producing content, even more content than we've been, because we've been traveling everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been very hard to book studio time and do all the things.
Mhm.
The amount of content we're going to put out as a team, and operations and finance and human resources about people and how to get them moving and get them aligned, and finance and acquisitions with our 10X buy sell, with our 10X equity group, with our private equity group, with our 10X health business. These are all new ventures launched this year. We want to use this data and show you exactly how we do it so that you can model and mimic and master what we're doing, learning the exact way we do it. And as a point in fact, another celebration of this year is Natalie put her first book out.
Yeah.
Was that a month ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
About a
1
month
month
ago.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been an Amazon bestseller the whole month.
Look, Enrique has it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at all the people who have it.
So awesome.
Oh, wow.
And all of you that are reading,
Natalia, Frank,
all of you
Todd.
that are reading the book, we have our first meeting to kick off 2022 is going to be about you and your people.
I did finish
Mhm.
reading the audio of the book. So
She
the
just
audio
finished the
book
audio version
is going to
today.
come out very shortly because I literally just finished it. And I actually, a fun little story about the book. I wrote it in 2 weeks. That was my commitment. Grant says you write a book in 1 week. It should not take you more than 7 days because the goal is not to write a book. The goal is to finish a book. So I was like, okay, great. I'm going to do this in 2 week time frame. I had my whole little plan mapped out and I wrote the book in 2 weeks, but then there's the editing process. And so when I was in the editing process, we had some back-to-back events. There was a boot camp and a real estate summit. And then I was giving myself 4 days to be able to read every single word and add stories and kind of like flesh it out after the first 2 weeks of like the meat were there. Well, right after the real estate summit, both Brian and I got fairly sick with this little thing called COVID. We got it. It
You're very
happened.
sick.
And so we quarantined, but I will never forget this moment. It scarred in my brain for the rest of my life. And back in August, where I was reading this book for 8 hours a day, and I was just crying because of how sick I was. And it just felt horrible. And so I'm just like typing, reading through this book. Long story short, I haven't read the book since I wrote the book. And as I'm reading it today, there are a handful of typos. I can see where I started to get a little bit more sick back in like chapter 14 and 15. It's like, it's just part of the reality. It's okay though.
You're still the best when you're sick. I know that.
It's still great though. But for those of you who have read the book and are like, man, I would really like to get some of these things that are more nitty gritty with my business in specific, we have a people essentials. It's the only people essentials in 2022, and it's happening the first week of January here in Scottsdale. So we would love to have you join us. That is on January, I believe it's the 6th and the 7th. So if you want to go to cardinventures.com/people and kick your year off with yours truly, I would love to have you in attendance with me. January 8th and 9th.
Yeah.
8th and 9th. It is January 8th and 9th.
Saturday,
There it
Sunday. It's a
is.
weekend.
It is a weekend.
Spend the weekend
What
with
better
you.
way to spend your first weekend of the year than with us talking through people? So with that, I think we can probably go back to.
Yeah, let's go back to. Sorry, I had them turning the air on.
Yeah, we're in
So,
Arizona right now.
It's the first time we've been in the studio with all the lights on,
It's pretty warm.
putting a lot of heat off in
Little
here.
toasty.
It's a little hot over here.
I thought maybe it was the two of you gorgeous ladies. All right. So look, what we really want to do is we want to celebrate your guys' success. We want to talk to the new people that.
What if people don't feel like they've had success? Because
Yep.
prior to, I would say 2 years ago in my life, I think many of you could relate to this. For every single year in my life prior to 2 years ago, I had this almost dread coming into the new year, because as much as I could get excited about what the next year could come and the visions, like I was disappointed in myself because I wasn't actually able to see the goals that I had set the year before being achieved. There was excuses or there was reasons or things that had just come up. And so some people on this call might not actually feel like they had a lot of success in 2021. And what do you do when you don't feel
so
like that?
what I would do if you struggled in 2021, see, I talk about the 4 A's in my leadership program. The first A is acknowledge. Okay. You got to acknowledge that you did struggle. You can't be in denial. Then the second A is you have to accept it. Accept what you did or didn't do. Just accept it. Don't resist it. Accept it. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Then you got to put a target for 2022, which is what you want to do. And then you take action. The third A is action towards the result you want. And as you start gaining momentum, fourth A, attack it. Because everything is momentum. John Maxwell talks about law of the big Mo. It works for you or against you. Well, when you start thinking about the resistance and you start getting upset about what didn't happen, it pulls you off of what you can create because you're not focused on what you are going to create. So what you need to do, if you struggled, you need to first accept the fact, acknowledge it and accept that that's actually a good thing. because no breakthrough ever happens unless you're struggling. It's in the acknowledgement of the struggle that you get the motivation or inspiration to break through. So if you're not struggling, then by definition, you're living in mediocrity, which then you're comfortable. So you're not going to try to break through. If you've struggled this year and you're frustrated by it, congratulations, you are on the technical movement to your first step of a breakthrough. Embrace it, be excited about it. Now, if you slipped off of, if you did great a couple years before and you slipped off of it and you're frustrated for that, just go back and remember what you were doing, the behaviors, the characteristics, the attributes, the contributions that you were doing when you were winning, and go back and recall that, then set your 22 targets and go all in on that. You can gain that back. For me, it's like with my weight. I can go up 10 or 15 pounds. I can go down 10 or 15 pounds. I always feel better when I'm going down, and I always feel worse when I'm going up. So if you don't take control of it, then you have no choice but to continue to feel the resistance and have it control you. So I would encourage you that if you're struggling in 2021 because you're frustrated that you haven't hit your goals, that's a great thing, because that's why you're on this call. Anybody who's comfortable with what they did or didn't do in 2021, that feels like they don't need to grow anymore, they don't need to push themselves anymore, they don't need more information, they are not on this call tonight.
Yeah, I think there's this interesting dichotomy, because there's one element of maybe you set goals and you didn't do the things that you needed to do, or there were some external factors maybe that you didn't plan for that thwarted your plans. And so you're disappointed that you didn't hit the original goal. Then there, I think, is with this 10X community, the other side, where people did the right things and they had the discipline and they kept showing up and they were accountable and all of the things to achieve the goal, maybe even surpass the goal they stated. But there's still this feeling of disappointment. And what's funny about this is either way, you're kind of disappointed at any given point in time. Like, you're disappointed that you didn't hit the goal, or you're disappointed that you hit it and you're able to achieve so much more. And
I mean, I'm disappointed that we only did 39 million this year.
that's my point.
wanted
But
to
you
do
would have been
50 to 60.
disappointed. You would have been disappointed because
Even if you did
there's
50.
there's
Yeah.
more. Like this whole, like this 10X thing.
Yeah.
You know that there's more in you. You know that you could have optimized in this way, or what if I could have just done that? And so the beauty of this community really is, regardless of whatever happened, because no matter what was 2021 for you, that's in the past. All you can control is what the future is. So how do you pick your target? Not necessarily even based on the past. Like, what are you capable? What is your business capable of doing? What is the marketplace allowing you to do? And how do you get comfortable knowing that this is just part of the process? Feeling the discomfort is a good thing. I love how you open with the first A is acknowledge. Like, acknowledge you're uncomfortable. That's okay. We're all here to acknowledge that we're uncomfortable, because we're in the pursuit of this next place that we're going to. I'm also uncomfortable right now because it's 100 degrees, and I'm interested to know if there are any people in the HVAC space on this call. Is there
Yeah,
anybody?
anybody
What a
from HVAC? Let's see.
If
It's a
there
little hot in this room.
are, if there
HVAC.
are,
Fix this.
we are having an HVAC event
Oh,
in
I thought you were
January.
talking about the heat in this room.
Well, I was, but I thought it'd make like a nice
It's a
segue.
really
Good
good,
segue.
really good segue.
I know it's pretty smooth, huh?
Yeah, it was.
That was awesome.
But there aren't no HVAC.
No, so it's just going to stay
Oh,
hot.
here.
There's Mo.
Hello.
Mo's in the- Yep. Look, so here's the thing. I think that I'm most proud of for 2021. And that is, we have built a remarkable team here, like phenomenal team.
Yeah.
And they've been getting prepared to help all of our clients crush it. And the dedication and commitment from that team. How many events do you think we did this year?
Isn't it 84?
85.
85.
So just so you guys understand, we had 85 events this year.
Yeah.
There's 52 weeks in a year,
Real life.
just in case you forgot how many weeks
does that
there are
include
in a year.
Cardone's events that we go to?
No.
Oh.
There's like, yeah.
So we've done it.
There's like 125, I think.
120 or 125 events this year. So look,
those
that's a
included.
tax fee.
Oh, we have HVAC people. Before you start talking
Yeah,
about
let's do
that,
it.
can we quickly talk about the HVAC summit?
Yeah.
Patrick, we're glad you're here. Dan, we're glad you're here.
There you go, guys.
Yeah.
Brandon's coming in hot with the put batteries in the thermostat. Really appreciate your feedback.
It actually is cooling off.
Yeah,
It
maybe a
is.
little
We
bit.
turned the air on.
But we are having an HVAC event. We're very excited about some of the progress and investments that we're making in the HVAC industry, especially in Q1 of 2021. So if you are in the HVAC space, we have a special offer for you that you are not going to want to miss out on. It is entirely free. All that it takes is your time and commitment and your openness in order to see what's
Participate.
possible.
Yeah, we're gonna have an
in this
HVAC
opportunity.
summit.
Mhm.
This is an industry we've been tracking, doing research on for over 10 years. It is going to be one of the hottest markets for the next 5 years.
No
if
pun
you're-
intended.
If you're
Or coolest.
I was seeing if you catch on to that. So I told everybody she's sharp. You can't get anything by her. So it is, that sector is heating up. If you're in that space,
If you're a cool guy,
if
you
you're
know,
a
or
cool
gal.
guy or gal, and
Okay.
you're in the and you want to be in a hot sector and
Click
HVAC,
the link. This
click the
if
link.
you are in that space,
That's
click the
right.
link. For the rest of you who aren't, you're all good. You don't.
But you
gotta
know,
click the
here's
link.
the thing. Chiropractic, if you're in the chiropractic space and you haven't been working with this, you're new to this, we have a huge, massive growth movement going on right now in the chiropractic regenerative medicine space. If you happen to be in the healthcare space where you're a nurse or you're a physician's assistant or you're a doctor, you're a phlebotomist, or you got the ability to stick a needle in somebody, a human, then let us know.
Yeah.
The health business is going to explode.
Mhm.
So it's like we have all these verticals. If you're in the IT, cybersecurity, or outsourced, let us know. If you're in the concrete business, let us know. If you're in the electronics business, we have partnerships in so many different industries happening right now that we're going to use. Landscape, thank you very much. We have so many landscape business owners that are crushing it right now. So these are all specific industries. We're going to be building support mechanisms out in 2021 to blow it up. So if you're in those spaces, you need to get working with us. If you're new to this, you're in those spaces, but you don't know what we can do to help you. You need to let us walk you through by talking to one of our business advisors, how we're helping businesses grow and scale, and then get involved, take massive action and get involved.
Mhm.
So the next event will be the second week, or the 9th and 10th,
8th and 9th,
8th and 9th,
People Essentials.
the People Essentials. It's the only ones on the schedule right now for 2022. My guess is we'll put another one on the schedule, but it probably won't be till the middle of the summer,
Maybe the end of the year.
or maybe the end of the year. So this, if you have been and you want to go deeper on creating your employee maturity model, many of the elements that we talk about there, you need to schedule for this workshop. It's going to be here at our headquarters in Scottsdale, Arizona. It is a remarkable experience, I promise you. And it's a good thing to bring one or two of your key people with you so they can work with you, so that you guys can set yourself up for a massive 2022. And then we also have a 10X 360 happening that same weekend, right?
Yep, the 6th and 7th.
So just so you know, if you have not been through a 10X 360, let's have a conversation. And we're just so excited about next year.
Should we take some questions?
Yeah,
There's
now,
some people with
let's do
their.
that. If you got your
with
hands
their
up, let's take
hands.
some questions.
Do you want me to just randomly call on somebody?
Yeah, call John Rowland.
John Rowland,
John
come
Rowland.
on
Travis, brother,
down.
what's up?
How are you guys doing?
Great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Still over here in China. Don't think there's any time I'll be leaving soon because of the way the borders are.
Yeah.
Basically this year we came really close to hitting our target, but we had one like it was a mistake we made really early in the year, which we didn't go after getting some cash to be able to build what we need to build. So our target this year was 3.5 million. We're sitting right at 2.5 right now with 948,000 in back orders. That if we had built it early enough, we would have shipped it all and we would have hit our target. So we're looking at, and we're really close. I mean, the stuff is built and on our floor. And the container delay also impacted us some too, which we couldn't anticipate that piece, but we definitely could have been anticipated the cash piece. So now we're looking at our target of 6.5.
Freeze.
Oh, no.
About 3 million in cash so we can build what we need to build in the front end of this year rather than make it a hockey stick like we did this year. So really, I kind of need some ideas about how we can do that.
Yeah, well, I would tell everybody, you should be taking notes every time you hear this conversation, because there's two things you need to be successful in business. It's the two hardest things to get. And when you have these two things, everything's easier. Let me see in the chat from our from people who've been, what are the two things you have to have? I love this. Context and contrast.
Dang, Mo.
Good
Good job, Mo.
Get it,
Great
Mo.
job. You nailed it. So here's the thing. When you have that, now you make better decisions. So you know what you didn't do last year, even though you would have done it this year, and you still might. So what you need to do is whatever decisions you wish you'd have made last year at this time, you make them this year. And then you never move off a target. So if your target was 3.5 this year, and say you come in by the time everything settles up at 3.1, you add the $500,000 on the next year's target. You don't say, oh well, we didn't make it this year, so whatever. When you set your targets, you get your targets. It's okay if they slide over to another year if you learned what you should have done the year before. So now you're talking about, okay, this is what happened last year. Here's what I recognize. Here's what we want to do next year. Here's what I need. So now you're really clear. How much money do you need to start the year off so you can hit your 6.5 target plus whatever you missed this year? And there'll be a calculation. And then you need to figure out how to pull that money forward faster so you can invest in the things that you need to invest in order to hit your number that you know is right in front of you. So the question for you and Sherman is, what have you guys done to identify what can we do to pull revenues forward so we can hit our 6.5 plus whatever we missed in 2021 in 2022? And that should be the only conversation. Like, this is the new target. And this is what we need. And we need an extra $1 million or $1.5 million. Where do we get the money? How do we get creative with our financing? Who can we borrow it from? Who can we get a cash injection from? Who can we sell something to and pull money in faster that we can forward invest in something else? Like, these are all conversations that you guys should be having before you click over to the new year, because it'll establish the speed in which you attack the things you need to do. And there will be a series of things you'll identify through this brainstorm. And you guys should be talking about that so you don't repeat what you did last year. And everyone listening to this should say, oh, given that opportunity, if I slipped on targets last year, what was I thinking about this year? What things did I take in action? What did I not put in fast enough? How could I attack it? I showed our whole team today with one of our clients what attack speed looked like. They rolled in here to talk about how to fix something they've been working on for 3 or 4 months. I said, you're not leaving the room until we have the strategy, we have the structure, we have the execution, all the way up to building that out and me getting their best person on the phone and role playing with me to find the gaps on the location as to what the issue was. And I said, send me the video. I'm going to cut the scripts and you'll have them on Thursday. So what's been taking 5 or 6 months to set up 2022, we did in 2 hours. That's attack speed. No excuses, no distractions, no lack of decision making. In fact, there was a moment where they were like, well, this sounds great, we're going to think about it. I said, no. If you want my help, there's no thinking about it. When we say this is what target is, we make the decision right now and we take action on it right now, because it's the thinking about it and the talking about it and the pondering it and the pulling it around. That's what kills momentum. Take freaking action. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be in movement.
Mhm. And the action creates the confidence. Like when people say
100%.
time is money,
Mhm.
part of that is just how do you create as much action as quickly as possible to know if you're messing it up, great, you're going to mess it up really fast because you're taking time out of the equation so that you can start learning from messing it up through context and contrast
Mhm.
so that you can make more money faster. Like it's a time game. So do you want to spend more time to get to the levels of success that it could take 10 years, or would you rather do all of those things as quickly as possible and figure it out in a year? Well, I think logically everybody would say, oh, a year, but then they don't condense the action and adding the context and contrast to be able to learn from that in a fast enough time to create the monetary value.
And when you struggle at anything, write down what's causing you to struggle, and then don't think about the struggle, convert that to what would you rather have happen, and then start figuring out how to make that happen so that your energy goes into solving problems and moving forward versus stressing about what's not happening. So many people kill so much time talking about, oh, if we'd only done this, and I wish that. Now, I'm okay doing an autopsy on what didn't work if for only one reason, and that is to then convert the autopsy to what you are going to do to take massive action to make sure that doesn't happen again.
We were actually in a meeting earlier today, and we're talking about just some issues in order to be able to deliver on this thing that we're trying to do. The conversation was focused on what are all the issues. And Brandon goes to the whiteboard and he literally draws out past and then puts a line and then writes out present, and he circles like past. We're not even going to talk about this because there's nothing we can do about this. The only thing that we can talk about is the future. So what are we going to do in order, forget what 2021's over. Whatever happened is already over. Let's figure out what the plan is so that we can actually get the goal. Because at the end of the day,
future. I put a line in the middle of the board and I said, this is over. This is now. Because in the 30 seconds that it took me to draw the line and write the words down, we just lost part of our past. So every moment, the future is made up of every granular incremental moment starting 30 seconds ago when I started that sentence. See, now we're in the future.
oh, just like that? We're already
That's
in the
amazing.
future?
Well, that's
It's a
how it
tax
works. So while you're spending time bemoaning, and if that's even a word, and
That's a word.
complaining and being frustrated and being mad and being angry, blah, 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 your future's already past you. You could have done something productive in that moment of time.
Mhm.
So look, I want you to do this. Take a line out and take a page out, draw a line. On the left side of the piece of paper, write down the things you wish you had done this year. On the right side, affirm it by saying, it is my intention to do what you're going to do this coming year,
Mhm.
and let it go. But then start asking, what do I need to do in order to accomplish these things on the right side of the piece of paper so we can get massive action, take movement. If you're saying, I wish I had reached out and talked to 200 prospects, you know what? Take tomorrow and call 200 people.
Mhm.
And you're like, well, that wasn't so bad, because the reason you don't do things is you're uncomfortable doing it. There's nothing I'm uncomfortable doing. I told the client that was in here when I role played with this, I said, I'll fly to your town and I'll start talking to your customers tomorrow if you guys don't believe that what I'm telling you will work. And then I'll do an over under. I'll make you a bet and we'll see what I close, not knowing anything about your business versus what your best person does out of 14 people doing it. I'm not afraid of anything. And you know why? Because I realize that nobody's going to hurt me. Nobody's going to kill me. Nobody's going to make me look stupid. Yes, I will look stupid. Yes, I will fail, but I'll learn from it. And the very next action I take will be better than the one that I screwed up on. It's incremental improvement. So you just got to keep moving and move as fast as you can. And there will be collateral damage. Who cares? So what?
Mhm.
The question is, are you learning and developing and moving to target? And then are you being an example to somebody else? Because true leadership is all the times you stub your toe, you flub up what you're talking about, you feel like you look stupid, you
so
get
true.
told you're an idiot, you get people to tell you you're dumb, all this stuff, all that is because you're preparing to take that away from the next person that you're going to create value for, because you're going to break through all that and then say to somebody, here is every single thing I had to deal with to get to where I'm at right now. And good news is I will not let you fail. I'm going to show you only how to succeed. So you don't have to go through all this baggage and you can hit the ground running, provided you're committed and you're willing to do the things I'm going to teach you.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I started reading this book called Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. And the second law was about self-confidence. And I really appreciated the way that he went about self-confidence and how you create it, because it's not something that people are born with. Brandon might be more confident than you are, to being able to tell somebody, oh, I'll go into your market and I'll be able to beat your top guy without knowing anything. That takes a lot of self-confidence. Why is he willing to be that confident? Because he takes so much action in such a short period of time that he has the confidence in himself to say, when I tell myself I'm going to do something and I'm going to be great at that thing, I'm going to do it and I'm going to become great at that. And in and of itself, that action and thought process allows him to be self-confident. It's not in the actual doing, it's in the thought that he can go do that, and then him following up and actually doing it.
Mhm.
I highly recommend this book. I'm only three
It's
chapters
having
in.
the courage to do it.
Totally.
Mhm.
And just believing, oh, wait, I need self-confidence to have action. Therefore, I'm going to have self-confidence, so that action follows and perpetuates more of the self-confidence. But it's not this, it's not, what
It's
is
not
it
a
called?
false confidence. It's not
Right.
an ego.
Right.
Look, it's not that I'm challenging because I think I'm better than somebody. It's that I have no fear, because I have done so many things where I've looked stupid.
Can you name one? I think people don't really believe you when you say that.
So
you
when
do
I
that?
was trying to raise my first $1 million,
This
I
is the
made
suit?
108 presentations, and I got laughed out of probably 100 of them.
But did people actually laugh? Like they're like, ha ha ha. Is that what
They
it
were
was like?
They were like,
Or was it worse? Was it more
it was
like,
worse. It was more like, why would we give a kid who's never done anything in their life $1, let alone $1 million?
would they say that? Or did
Yeah.
you just think
No,
that
they
they
would
were
say it.
saying that?
Was it
One-
when you're in your polyester suit? and
One
stuff?
guy, yeah, no, that was different. But one guy said to me, let me ask you a question. If I gave you $1 million, how would you know what to do with it when you've never done anything in your life? And I said, well, this was towards the end of the 100. This was the 108th presentation.
98.
Okay, I want you to hear this. This was on the 108th presentation. And I looked him square in the eye and I said, that's a really good question. You're running $500 million here and you bet on thousands of companies. And if one wins, you win. I have one company and I have one bet. And if I fail, I'm done. If you were a betting man, would you rather bet on somebody that only has one shot, or would you rather bet across the spectrum of thousands of opportunities?
It's just like an Eminem moment.
And he says to me that I said, I want to show you what I'm talking about. I don't even need to make a presentation. I've got a business I'm buying in your backyard and I'll show it to you tomorrow. And the guys were, his handlers were like, oh, you can't talk to him like that. He said, pick me up at 7 a.m. That night, over a glass of wine, he wrote me my first $1 million check. Because I realized that most of those people, what they were doing is actually testing my own resilience.
Your
if-
self-confidence.
And if I buckled, or if they were able to throw me off over $1 million, what's the likelihood I'm willing to go grind it out to create a $100 million business? So they're going to test you. And see, at first I was naive. I didn't understand how it worked. And some of them were just jerks, but a lot of them were testing to see what kind of response they'd get out of me, to see how resilient or confident I was. So, sometimes that can work against you too. I'll tell you another little story.
Well,
Wait a minute. Story time with Brandon. So it's almost Christmas. So
It's
this
gonna
is
get
story
up.
time.
I'm gonna go.
So I'm up in Canada because it can work against you. And this guy was being a jerk. And he said, why would I give you $1 million? You've never done anything. That was a recurring theme because I hadn't actually done anything. So it made sense. And so I tried to do my thing, but see, I didn't have my pitch down. And so the guy says to me, well, I said, well, let me ask you a question. His name was Mo. Let me ask you a question, Mo. I was across the street today with a guy and a gal that run $3 billion. And here I am in your offices and you only run 50 million. I go, so the question isn't about what I would do with $1 million. The question is, what are you not doing that people don't trust you to give you 2 billion?
Oh, that's a little strong.
It was strong because I was tired of being rejected. So I got snappy back.
Oh,
well, let me
sassy.
tell you
Very
something. So Mo's
sassy.
like, hey, dude, this meeting's done. He didn't say dude. He's like, well, thanks for stopping by, but I think we're done. So anyhow, I walked out of there. My chairman chewed my ass out. So I learned,
Understandable.
so I felt like I was in the right though. The guy was being a complete jerk. Well, fast forward like 18 months later, I'm on my $6 million round. So I raised the million.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm raising 6 million. I go into an office in New York City. This was up in Toronto, Canada, when I ran into Mo. I go into an office in New York City that runs like $30 billion. Okay. And I'm in the middle of my presentation, and sure as the
Shit.
day is long, frickin' Mo comes walking in the room.
Frickin' Mo
There's
comes
Mo.
back.
He's back.
And I go, Mo, he goes, I just wanted to stop by and tell you congratulations on raising your first million. I go, what are you doing here? He goes, the office you were in up in Canada was my personal office. This is my firm. So here's a guy that's sitting in his little office up in Toronto that's running 50 million of his own personal money. And he has like a multi-billion-dollar firm in the US. You know what? Mo put $500,000 into my 6 million. He said, I never forgot you, dude. Never forgot you. So you never know what's going to come full circle. But the thing is if you don't put yourself out there, then you're guaranteed to get nothing.
So how are you going to put yourself out there in 2022?
2022. And how can we help
I
you
love that.
not fail in the process of doing it so we can all win together?
Because even hearing Brandon's story right now, like, makes me feel more confident. How many of you guys just listening to him, like, oh yeah, I can figure out whatever is stopping me in order to have difficult conversations. Confidence is infectious. And when you're around people who have confidence, you become more confident. And so what would that increased confidence for you look like in your business if you were able to spend time around people who had a heightened level of confidence and believed in you that you can do whatever it is that you put your mind to doing?
And they're willing to teach you.
Totally.
They're willing to show you. You've been with me 12 years.
Oh, 13.
13 now.
Going-
Oh my
going
God,
on
13
20.
years. She's watched thousands of people come and go and succeed. And here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to say. Like learning to succeed is a process. It's not an event.
Mm.
And it's a commitment. It's not a transaction. And you got to have the right frame of mind. But the biggest gift that you can receive is being allowed to be taught how to succeed. And the biggest gift you can give is teaching others to do it.
So great.
And I'm going to say something now. I haven't talked this whole time. I just realized I've been enjoying the show and I realize I'm sitting here next to you. But what you're talking about, a couple things on not talking about the past and focusing on the future reminds me of when you talk about logic and intelligence, or excuse me, emotion, logic and emotion not being able to exist in the same sphere. If you have high emotion, you have low logic. If you have high logic, you have low emotion. And I think when the reason your confidence is so strong is because you don't dwell on the past, which is emotional.
Yeah.
When people think of the past, they get defensive. Like, I didn't do this because of this or because of that, because they can reflect on why something didn't happen. Whereas you have the nature and the logic to say, well, this is what needs to happen. This is how it's going to happen. Therefore, the emotion's not there. It's logical. So therefore, the confidence can exude, if that makes sense. I'm kind of seeing
100%.
that.
You know, I'll give an example.
Mhm.
It happens all the time. You point something out to somebody, right? You point something out to somebody, and instead of saying, oh my gosh, you're right, I'll fix it next time. Like, think about how simple that is. Instead, what they do is they start like trying to be defensive, and they start making it worse, and they start coming up with it, and they start creating drama, and they start creating this, and it's all just emotional bullshit. It's like all this stuff comes out of them because they're feeling the need to be right. And versus just go, you know what? Appreciate it. I heard you. Fix it next time. Do it different. Work harder. Make it better.
That's the Fouriers.
It's just like the amount of energy that people put into nonsensical stuff to protect their ego or to be right. And you know, I would just encourage everyone that's watching this. If you want to succeed, success doesn't come by being right. Success comes by getting the result.
Brandon always tells me, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yeah, it's like, look, a lot of you, if you struggled this year, I guarantee you struggled because you're in your own way. You're trying to be right, and you're protecting your ego. You're protecting yourself. You're not putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And you're hedging. And anytime you hedge, anytime somebody hedges, they're going to find failure, because in the hedge is where insecurity lies. The reason you hedge is to not be wrong. The reason you hedge. Now, if I'm a hedge fund manager, I hedge my investments so I don't lose. If you're a human being, you hedge because you don't want to lose. So what that does is it precludes you from winning.
It does.
So the whole definition of hedge isn't to get massive returns. It's to make sure that you don't get massive losses. So you go long in one area and you hedge in another area where you think there's going to be a loser, so you can average the two and always win. That's what hedge fund managers do with money.
Can we just laugh at Kathy's comment?
What'd she say?
Your ego is not your
amigo.
That's awesome.
That is the quote.
I'm gonna give you the best thing for 2022. Quit hedging.
Yeah.
Quit feeling the need to be right. Quit feeling the need to defend yourself. Quit making it worse and stomping all over something that you do only to defend that you did it. It's like, who cares? The only question you have to ask yourself is, am I getting the results, and am I better tomorrow than I am today? And if the answer is yes, just keep moving. Pick bigger targets and move towards them. Don't let the little tiny shit get in the way of your success. I watch it every single day with business owners. I watch it with employees. I watch it with friends. I watch it happening all the time. And what happens, it's like the Grant said, it's like the ball players. They go on the field, they dominate, they make all this money, they walk off the field and they completely fuck up their life. Excuse my French. Sorry if any of you have kids. They screw up their life. Because beep that out, would you? Okay, so because they're not disciplined. And so when you have emotion, high emotion equals low intelligence. And when you inject that emotion, you're not going to make any good decisions. I would just encourage everyone, anytime you're thinking about responding to anything that's irritating you or that you're justifying, stop and give it a half hour, then reply.
So true.
I learned this
Huge
lesson very early in my relationship with Brandon. You guys may or may not get a kick out of this. I get a kick out of this. He would always say, like, just stuff was tense. It's hard to explain. Stuff back in the day, a long time ago, was tense. And I remember getting all worked up and all emotional. And then I would have this epiphany, and it really changed my life. I remember thinking, okay, one day, we have an age difference. We have 25 years between the two of us. Like, one day he's going to die. And that's statistically going to be a lot sooner than I'm going to die. And when I'm by myself and he's no longer here, am I really going to care about this thing that we're talking about? And this very much translates over into the business that we're in, because we work together. And I know many of you guys are partners in business and at home, but even if you're not, like, how do you use the fact that time is not infinite? We have a very finite amount of time here on this planet. So, like, move off of dumb shit, like, just literally move off of it. And whatever you have to use to remind yourself, hey, I don't have all this time in order to make these changes or to respond differently. Like, I have a short amount of time. Why am I still focused on that? The more you can harness that every single day, I look at it every day. I'm like, oh, wow, I know I won't always get to have you here. Therefore, I'm going to be grateful for this and move off of it. You might not have to marry somebody who's 25 years older than you in order to embrace this life philosophy. But what can you use? Maybe that's your parents. Maybe that's your grandparents. Maybe that's somebody who's a mentor to you.
If anybody wants to know if I'm a closer, like if anybody wants to know if you can drop me into your town and I'm willing to come in and close the deal, just look to my right.
Heather?
Left finger right there.
like she's one of the most brilliant human beings, kindest human beings.
It's true.
Beautiful human beings. She's a triple threat.
Okay.
And yet I closed the deal. And I got mother and father approval in the process.
Oh boy.
That actually offended a couple people at our wedding, because Grant made a speech about, like, I commend you for making this all happen and for letting this happen. And because most people would say, like, oh, like, of course that could happen.
Judgment. Yeah.
But
good news is I'm such a good guy. Your mom loves me.
Anyway, we digress. Guys, we appreciate you. This is the final call
Oh,
10X Owners Live of
2021. Oh, guys, I just gotta tell you,
21.
it's so exciting to know what you're gonna do, to have future predictability, to be able to build an algorithm where you can tell the future. Because all you have to do to check, if you're new to this and you're like, who are these people, you know, what are they talking about?
If they're still here, they like us.
Just go back and look at what we were talking about a year ago and look what we did. And then ask yourself a question. If you want to crush it in 2022, do you want to do it with someone who's willing to commit, expose exactly what they do, how they do it, who they're doing with it, the good, bad, the indifferent, you know, role play it online, you know, confront it. Do you want to be in that group? Or do you want to just try to be figuring it out by yourself? Or do you want to go listen to someone who's selling hype but has no credibility? I always say my 3 favorite questions. What's the most amount of money you've ever made in a year? What's the biggest thing you've ever built, quantified by number of employees, revenue, and profitability? And what's the biggest thing you've ever sold, and what'd you get for it? If they can't fit into those 3 questions, turn it off.
Speaking of turning it off,
Oh,
it is
snap.
our time.
You're the segue queen tonight.
She is awesome.
I mean, on fire. That's a quadruple threat.
All right, one more time, let's put up the people essentials, because look, if you're new to this and you're thinking of joining us and learning how to align your team, from the author herself, Natalie Dawson, my most remarkable, amazing wife, talking about how we build teams, how we inspire people, how we align people with the business, how we find remarkable people like my little buddy Enrique on there, or Aaron, or anybody on our team. We have come meet our team.
Oh,
Come interact with the people that we're hiring and ask yourself,
they're the best.
do I want people like this helping me win? And see what that looks like. Meet our other clients, people like Joel Burr, people like, I mean, we got so many great people. We got Todd
Steve's
on here. We got
there,
Steve
Todd's
on here. We got so many great clients, and come spend time with them, meet them, understand them, and talk to them. Sherman's on there. The Rollins are on. Like Boot Boss is on here. I see her down there. Love you, Boot Boss. Look. It's just
and
like
Chris. We always forget about Chris. Chris is right there.
Chris.
He's on his own laptop.
Yeah, they always are separate.
Why aren't they
You
together?
always only see Boot Boss, but Chris,
There,
I see you,
sorry.
Chris.
Sorry, Chris. We see you, buddy. You're not visible.
There he is.
It's just you got a gray shirt on with a gray background. So don't worry about it. Pat, love you, buddy. You just crushed it this year. So proud of you. Look, I'm just so thrilled to be a part of your guys' lives, and all of us are, and to have you be a part of our lives.
Justin,
Omar's crushing it. You know, Omar platformed his business and put a strategy together.
And Azari, shout out.
And in 6 months, 7 months, he's going to hit over $1.2 million in his first year. It's like, you guys are what keeps us going every single week.
Gene and Jared and Brandon and Manuel. Oh, it's so great to see AJ from TRC. AJ is like, gotta shout out AJ for how he shows up on 10X employee calls. Anyway, we are so over time, but we appreciate each and every one of you. We want you to have a remarkable holiday over the next couple of weeks.
Love your family. Appreciate where you're at. We have our health. We have our wellness. And we have our future. And as long as we have a future, we can do anything we want to do.
What about, and we have each other.
We do have each other.
Like
Sorry.
all of us.
By the way, I love you too.
No, it wasn't about you. It was about we all have each other, this group of people. Anyway, okay.
Have a remarkable holiday. We will see you. We're going to be off until the second week of January.
First week of January.
First full week of January. Enjoy your family time. God bless all of you. And we'll see you in a week and a half.
See you next year.
Merry Christmas.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
Hey, do yourself a big favor. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Bang it.